Hey there, welcome to day 1361 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting the journey as I transition from brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. And like I've been saying for a couple of months now, a little bit of back and forth, because I realized out of the pandemic and COVID-19 that I like to be in the real world of business, the physical world of business. I miss it. I like to be in it, but I also like to be in the online world of business. So I have for a long time thought and believed that we should be in both. If you have an offline business, you need an online presence. If you have an online business, it's good to have physical products and services and have an offline presence or location or whatever works for you, even though there's massive advantages to just being digital and online. What happens if the internet goes down? I think Facebook went down for like 6 hours or 8 hours the other day. And I know people that were absolutely devastated because they count on Facebook and Facebook advertising for all of their revenue. So virtually their business was shut down for a 6 or 8 hour period. If you are dependent 100% on someone else's platform, that can happen. So our idiom for today for Supersize Your Business was a hard time. And I shared 11 ways that you can get through a hard time or a tough time, any tough time in your business. And they're just 11 tips really of how to do it and what to do. But that got me to thinking and curious about, what do you do? What do you actually do when you're facing a challenge or a hard time? Share that in the comments below, because I am looking to find out. I want to know more about how other people deal with hard times. I know how I do it, but how do you do it? How do you deal with difficult times and challenges? Because there's things that we can do that are really a good idea when we're facing hard times and challenges, and there's other things that we do that are not a good idea. And I'm guilty of both, right? I've done things that work for me during hard times, and I've done things that have made the hard time worse because I didn't realize that what I was doing was just the opposite of what I should be doing. So curious how you handle challenging and difficult times or a hard time. This is the first time in our annual challenge that I actually said out loud during the challenge that I'm probably not going to do the challenge for today. Our challenge today, and you can see I wrote on it and did a whole bunch of things already. Our annual challenge is to get to know ourselves better. It's following a little mindfulness journal that says do one thing every day that centers you. And our challenges are all about you. I call it all about you challenge because I want it to be about me and you getting to know ourselves better, understanding what's really important to us. And I found this little mindfulness journal to go along with. And this is actually the first day where I looked at it and I said, yeah, I'm not going to do that today for sure, because it asks us to unplug 100% from technology for a full day. Now, I define a full day as 24 hours, but with no notice, I have commitments and people that I have I need to communicate with and I need to be in contact with, and things that I've said I'll do and I need to do because I committed to other people and myself I would do them. And so to just immediately unplug from everything, it doesn't feel good or right to me, so I'm not going to do it. Now I will plan. I did commit to planning a 24-hour unpluggage or outage, but I'm going to plan ahead for it. I'm not just going to say, and I know part of the mindfulness journal is to just do it immediately, but I always do the things during the day that it challenges us to do. But this is one that I looked at it and I said, nope, I'm not going to do it. Previously they asked, we had this 3 other times before. Once was to unplug for an hour, no problem, easy to do. 3 hours was the second one, easy to do, did that. An evening, again, easy to do, did that. But when I saw this one for a full day, I'm like, I just got big red warning signs that said, no, not going to happen. Because that would require that I don't do things that center me or that feel good for me. It would require that I don't keep my commitments or word to myself. It would require that I shut myself off from communicating with people that I have committed to communicating with, because technology is how we communicate with people, right? Electronics, technology, cell phones, Wi-Fi, internet. And so I actually just said no to this. Now I will commit to doing it for a full day. Now I will define the 24-hour period as a full day. It's probably going to fit along with my normal routines and commitments, but I can schedule out, if given enough time, a 24-hour period to not be interacting with technology. And I'm actually kind of excited about it the more I think about it. But I still have commitments that I've made that involve technology that at least get me through the end of this year. So I'm going to have to creatively think about how can I get a full day unplugged given the other commitments that I've already agreed to. So that was an interesting one. And I just learned a lot about myself, that it's okay to say no to things that don't feel right for us. And this is one, it doesn't feel right for me, so I'm just saying no. Now, does it mean that I'm probably too dependent on technology like a whole lot of other people on the planet? Yes. Does it mean I don't have the ability to turn everything off and be unplugged? No. It means that my commitment to myself and other people is more important than following a daily challenge journal of random things that were created by strangers that might not apply to me. And that's how we need to approach everything in life and everything in the world. Is this right for me? Is this moving me in the direction I want to go? Am I making progress toward what's important to me, my goals and objectives, or am I creating and living for someone else? We could talk about a whole, the things we learn about ourselves as we grow and learn about life and ourselves and humanity and people, mostly about ourselves, is really interesting and incredible. And I could talk a lot about different lessons that I've learned, but one is the voice in our head. And I've been listening to and getting ready for something I want to do for next year's annual challenge. I like to do an annual challenge. This is my fourth. I've done a lot more than 4 annual challenges, but this is the 4th annual challenge that I've shared with other people. And I've opened myself up and done it with other people, not just alone. I've always had challenges for myself. Starting over a decade ago with my sudden cardiac arrest. And before that, even I had annual challenges, but specifically I made an annual challenge that I was going to exercise every single day for a year. Now, if you knew me back in 2010, even, until the fall of 2010, you would have laughed and said, yeah, right, Sharon, there is no way you're going to do anything for a week, much less for a year. And that's exactly the response I got from my family. But I set that challenge because I had a major health incident, and if I didn't do something drastic and commit to myself that I was going to do it, I was going to be in big trouble. I probably wouldn't, I guarantee I wouldn't be here speaking to you today, because if I would have kept going down the path I was going down, I would not be here. I absolutely positively would not be alive today. So I knew I needed to do something drastic and make massive lifestyle changes in order to still continue to exist on the planet, as well as grow and thrive and contribute in a positive way. So that was one of the first ones that I consciously committed to, that was outside my comfort zone, way outside my comfort zone. And I had to figure it out. I had to figure it out every day and along the way. And it got me into the mode of making sure that when I tell myself I'm going to do something and commit to it, it's going to get done. I'm not sure always how or when, but it will get done. I will get the result that I'm looking for. So I do that with things that are really, really important to me. And that's part of what led me to this challenge. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, voice in your head. So I realized after my divorce that somewhere along the way in my 25-year relationship with someone that wasn't necessarily good for me, that person became the voice in my head. They drowned out my own voice, my own consciousness. Now you say, well, how does that happen? Well, it doesn't really happen. My voice was always there, but it was filtered through another person's judgment and voice, and I didn't realize it until after I got divorced. And it was a shocking realization. I realized one morning when I woke up, the first voice I heard in my head was still my ex-husband's. And I'm like, when did I allow that to happen? And we weren't even together anymore, so why on earth was that the first voice I heard in my head? So I eliminated that voice and did a lot of work in mindset and understanding and getting my own voice back. And so the tool that I'm exploring and the thing I want to do for a challenge next year has taken me and advanced that process even further, to getting my own voice back and really being my own cheerleader and the voice in my own head, not ever letting someone else be the voice in my head or influence me to that extent ever again. And we don't often, I guess I figured if it can happen to me, it can happen to pretty much anybody. And it didn't, I'm sure it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in the short term, but somehow it did. And so it just goes to show me how easily, or how we all can be influenced in ways that we don't realize on a subconscious level, to the point where it becomes a controlling factor in our life, if that makes sense. And at some point we wake up and we say, no, I'm going to take back control of my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, my everything. And it's a journey for each and every one of us. And each and every one of us, you might not ever have had that happen to you. You might be like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? How on earth could someone else's voice ever be the voice in your head? Or could they play a dominating position in your thinking and your thoughts, and influence your thoughts so much that you actually heard them over yourself ever? So I guess that's a vulnerable point, but it was a really eye-opening experience, because this person is much more fear-based than I ever thought that I was, and much more scarcity and lack focused than I believed that I naturally am and was. And so it's been letting go of all of that and all of that influence. It's just another example of how it's so important that we're careful who we pay attention to, who we listen to, who we let in our lives, who we let influence us, because the people that we surround ourselves with clearly do influence us, all of us, whether we believe it or not. Because I would have said, oh, I don't believe that can't happen to me, and yet I realized one day that it absolutely positively happened to me as well. So a hard time. That was a hard time, and still working through it, always, and continually growing and improving and working through our experiences. That's what we're here for. That's why I believe we're on the planet, each and every one of us, is to grow and become the best version of ourselves, and experience life as only we uniquely can. So I'm not going to do today's unplug. I'm not going to, for our annual challenge. I guess that's what that was all about. And a hard time, I think that's a great idiom, a great expression. I'm really actually enjoying the month of October. We're doing a time-related idiom every day for the month of October, and it's been really fun. I think we might do, I think maybe money or something next month, just for the fun of it. No nonsense November, no nonsense November. November seems to be the time of year where people start hitting the Christmas shopping hard and spending a lot at the end of the year. So it just seems like money might be a good one to do in November. Haven't decided for 100% yet, but right now I am enjoying doing time. We've got another 9 or 10, actually 10 days of that to go. So that'll be fun. Get Up and Go Challenge today was about relationships and the action, the A in our SOAP framework. Where's my soap? I made a new soap out of my Soapy Sisters. I actually wrote it backwards so we can see soap frontwards when I hold it up to the camera. And we talk about relationships and action, and how do we make decisions, because we have to have a decision-making tool so we can decide what action we're going to take, right? We talked about the situation and identified our story, where we are now versus where we want to be in a specific relationship. I'm doing my mom. Then yesterday we explored options using visualization and imagination to come up with different options and different ways we could improve, because we want to improve our relationships, right? We want to go from where we are to where we want to be. To me, I call that improvement. And then today we talked about a tool that I call HHI, or head, heart, intuition. I usually draw it out with a little head, a little heart, and then a little wavy line for intuition, because I don't know how to represent intuition. If you know how to represent intuition, let me know, because I would love to know. Otherwise, I just use little wavy lines because it means energy or flow or whatever. So that's how I usually represent it. But we talked about taking something very, very subjective, and our feelings are usually pretty subjective, and comparing different alternatives, which we think differently about, we feel differently about, and our intuition and our gut tells us something different about. And so we rate those on a scale of 1 to 10, and we use that as a way to decide what option to take action on. And then when do we take action? Now, today, immediately, as quickly as we possibly can. I like to never leave this, a decision without taking some kind of an immediate action to reinforce that choice of the decision that I've made. I think I probably learned that from Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn or someone. Somebody a long time ago, probably my dad. My dad probably actually taught me that before anyone else. So those are the things I'm working on with respect to content creation and content. Again, I will find a day or a full day, or a 24-hour period. To me is a full day as defined by other people, not me. A 24-hour period that I can unplug, and maybe it'll be before the end of the year. I might think of a way to do it around Thanksgiving, or because that's coming up, pretty soon. But again, I need to plan ahead for it so that I can make sure I continue to meet my options. The closest I've come to unplugging for a 24-hour period, and I didn't, was in Christmas Day of 2019 when I had COVID, but the TV was still running in the background, so that doesn't count as unplugging. I wasn't online or on the internet, but the TV was on. Again, technology, so that's not unplugging. It's definitely plugged into the wall. Was I watching it? No, I was sleeping on the couch through it, or coughing and hacking and going to the bathroom from the couch. But it was on, so that it wouldn't count anyway. And then the next was about a month ago. We had a really bad storm here, and we didn't have electricity. But you know what I did? I went over to my sister's house, so I didn't unplug. So I will actually have to plan out and think that one out a little bit. All right. Any questions? Any help that I can give you, please ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow and just let you know what I'm up to, so that I can share my experiences, share the lessons that I'm learning in both online and offline business. Have an awesome day.